Hey guys, today you're going to get a toothbrush, you're going to get a piece of burlap, and you're going to get a piece of clay from me. We're actually going to be making Angry Birds. So here's one that I started last year that I never actually finished, but you can kind of see where I was going with it. Yours will be fancier than mine. Once you get your clay, I'm actually going to tear off a chunk of it, probably about a third. Alright, nice little chunk like this. I'm going to set it off to the side. That's so I can add details to it later. The first thing I need to do after tearing off that chunk is I need to make it into a ball. Sometimes I squeeze it between my palm a couple times because your palm is kind of rounded when you cup it like this. So it helps make it kind of circular, and also roll it between your hands. Remember, if you play with your clay too much, it's going to dry out and it's going to crack. Also smooth out any cracks that you find, just rubbing my finger over it. Alright, that's pretty good. Now we're going to turn this ball of clay into a pinch pot. We did this last year, or 2 years ago, excuse me. So you should have an idea of how to do this. But I'm going to put my thumb inside that clay so I get a hole. Now I can put that thumb back in, and with 2 fingers I'm going to just gently pinch that clay. I don't want to pinch it all the way together so that it's paper thin. I want it to be about as thick as a pancake. So after I pinch one spot, I'm going to turn it and pinch again. Turn it, pinch, turn it, pinch. I'm going to do this all the way around my pinch pot. So I get something kind of like this. But you'll notice that then I still have a huge chunk of clay at the bottom. Like the top part of this is nice and thin how I want it, but the bottom part of the bowl is still really thick. So now I'm going to actually pinch towards the bottom part of it. So instead of pinching here, I'm going to pinch more down here. Doing the same thing, going all the way around. Just like that. Alright. So, this is actually going to be the body to my Angry Bird because he's going to sit upside down. Alright. You've probably got a bunch of marks from your fingers in it. You're welcome to go ahead and try to smooth those out. You don't have to if you don't want to, but it might look a little bit nicer. Alright, so I've got mine smoothed out a bit. Now I'm ready to start adding some details. We're going to take that chunk of clay that we had before, that I tore off right from the start, and I'm actually going to take a piece of it and turn it into a coil. If you don't remember what a coil is, remember it's like a clay snake. So I'm going to roll it between my hands. I can also roll it on my canvas too. So I'm going to get a nice coil. Once I get my coil, I can add things like eyes, I can add beaks, I can add a feather. Alright, so the way I'm going to do that is I'm actually just going to tear off a little piece of clay. I can turn this into a little ball if I want. And this could get pressed onto my clay piece and become an eye, or a beak, or whatever you want it to be. To attach that eye, I need to take my toothbrush, get just a little bit of water on it. I'm actually going to kind of give it a little tap so I don't have too much water on it. And wherever I want that eye to be, I'm going to gently rub it with my toothbrush. This is called slipping and scoring. If you don't do this, all of the things that you add to your clay will fall off. These little scratches that your toothbrush makes will help your pieces of clay stick to it. So I've scratched the clay bowl. I also need to do the same to that little eye I made. Just giving it a little rub, and now I can squeeze or smush these together. Notice I'm putting part of my hand on the back side of my bowl so I don't crush it as I try to attach this. Alright, so that could be a little eye. I'm not quite done yet though. Just because I slipped and scored it doesn't mean that it's not going to come off. I'm going to take that little wooden tool I had. I'm just going to carefully pinch the clay together. So you'll see that I am sticking the wooden tool into the very corner of the eye. I'm just going to pull it down. Right, this helps attach that clay to the body. I'm just pinching the eye to the body. And then after that, you're welcome to take your finger and smooth it out. Be careful not to get too much water on your clay piece when you're using that toothbrush. Otherwise, you're really going to end up with a mess. All right, so there's one eye. Once again, I can break off a little chunk, roll it into a ball, and then I have to slip and score. If you don't, your pieces are going to fall off. Slip, score, and smooth. That's my saying. So slipped and scored. Now I got to smooth it on there. So I got eyes. You could do things like beaks. For that, I'm just going to get a piece that's a little bit longer, kind of like this, and I can just kind of pinch it into a beak shape. Something like this. And that, once again, could get slipped and scored. You could add little feathers. Just make sure whatever you make, it can't be too super thin. Right? Otherwise, it's going to break, and I'm not going to go back and fix every single thing that breaks off. Right, so I've attached it. Now I can smooth it. Slip, score, and smooth. So add little feathers. Look at the pictures of the Angry Birds at your table for some ideas. You have to the end of the class to get these done. Then I'm going to let them dry, and they will go in the kiln. When you're done, bring them back to me. I'll scratch your name into a part of it. Mr. C. And then you are done for the day. All right, make sure to clean up your stuff.